Two design rock stars on one sofa here on City Line. Brian Gluckstein, Sarah Richardson. Give them a warm round of applause. You're rock stars. Look at that. Come on in, have a seat. It is so good to have both of you here in this gorgeous set. How are things?
Fabulous. I'm with two of my favorite women, so this is even better.
Oh,
you're so
Brian
sweet.
Gluckstein sandwich.
A sandwich.
I like it. I like it.
So listen, we look at you with your perfect little outfits and your perfect little design projects, and we're all thinking the same thing. Tell us what goes wrong. So we want to talk a little bit about design mishaps, because it happens all the time. Sarah, that's why I've loved your shows. You're so open about all of the little pitfalls that happen when you're in the middle of a project. You know, you don't measure the right size, or things don't come in when you need them. So I'm going to let you start. Can you talk a little bit about even shooting the show, things that have gone wrong?
Sure. I mean, I think that what you love about it is what everybody loves about it, because the whole approach to design is that no matter how well you plan, things always go wrong. And that's human. What everybody has to remember is renovations are a product of human time and effort. So when it goes wrong, I always think, well, of course it did. It was a human who measured it. People make mistakes. It's not done by robots. So it's only natural that things would go wrong. And I think that that's what makes the show endearing. Not so endearing when you're in the process of shooting it. It's more like, oh, come on. And I just experienced that this summer because we did a new season of Sarah's Cottage.
Yeah.
And this time we did it as a rental. And I don't know if anybody remembers, but this summer was quite possibly the most epically bad weather summer in history. So we were on a remote island location with relentless rain. At one point, I was in New York working while Tommy and my husband were on the island shooting, and Tommy said, I wouldn't classify the rain as torrential. I would say it was more like apocalyptic. 60-kilometer-an-hour winds. I mean, so all of that, and then of course the access. So remote projects that have a remote location is another level of chaos and crazy.
You got to get everything over there. Everything's going in by boat.
And don't forget
it's
a
raining.
thing.
And don't forget a thing. Oh my goodness. So this is great.
Don't break a thing.
And don't break a thing. Right. We're looking forward to seeing how that all turns out, because it all turns out well in the end, right?
Of course it does.
Of course it does.
The only problem is it's now gone to editing, and the island is closed. So there's no retakes.
You can't go back.
No.
Like if we don't have a scene,
it's done.
I'll just start tap dancing or something. It'll just be insert a montage of something, juggling.
All right, Brian, has anything gone wrong?
Well, this made me realize you have to measure. This is 20 years ago, and I'm still working with a client, but we had this huge library cabinet that was not going to fit in the elevator. So the client saw my face, and he's a developer, so he was well connected with the buildings. So he saw my face, and he said, just go away and deal with everything else. Leave this to me.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, the elevator doors open, and this cabinet comes flying out of the elevator shaft. And I'm like, how is that? And I looked, he and a workman were on top of the elevator. They slid it. They dropped the elevator down, slid the cabinet on top of the elevator.
Gosh.
Thank God he had a lot of cash on him to pay for the elevator man to do that.
Yeah.
And it came up. He stopped it below. They opened the doors and pushed it out. And then I realized, and we still laugh about that. And now I realize, measure access to everything. I learned. Now we've never had this because that was such a terrifying experience.
Yeah.
I measure things 5 times. I send the movers to the site to say measure, make sure the corners and.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want that problem.
Don't try that at home, by the way.
Especially,
We had the exact
Don't
same
just
thing
throw the
with the slab of
king-size
marble.
bed on the elevator.
We had the exact same thing on the show with a giant marble countertop, and they had to drop it. And then at that point, we said, "We'll just turn the cameras off now. We'll see you in a few minutes." And then it was all fun.
I'm glad.
But they make these big open spaces now with elevators that are tiny.
Right.
And so you have a room that's like this, and you imagine, I'm thinking 13-foot sofa.
Exactly.
Actually, I'm thinking a pair of love seats.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the sofa comes into
How you
pieces.
getting it in there? Or get it in pieces.
Yes, we did a space, and I made a sofa like this, but it comes in 3 pieces, and we bolted it together in the suite because we wanted this big sofa, and there was just no way it was going to go in.
That is tough. So you can't ever move, because once you get it in there, it's staying there.
Yes,
forever.
drywall around it.
Absolutely.